Hey guys, what's up? It's Darkmek here and welcome back to another Mythic Plus guide. Today we're covering off the Halls of Atonement. So this one, fairly stock standard dungeon. You can use the route I'm about to show you for all of the affix combinations. It works really well. It does involve using an invisibility potion or a rogue shroud or a death skip. However, with the way pots function and things like that at the moment, using an invisibility potion is absolutely viable. It doesn't really take away from your run. So it's absolutely a fantastic use in this route. Pridefuls line up really well. Highly recommend it. If you've got a rogue, you can use the shroud as well. However, we're going off an invisibility pot for the sake of this one. So we're going to get into this same format as always. If you're new to these guides, I'm going to walk you through MDT to the first boss, and then we're going to watch a VOD to the first boss, and we'll mix and match from MDT to the live footage. And the idea is arming newer tanks moving into that plus 10 affix range to get really comfortable about what kind of route they're taking, where their pridefuls are going to be, and what people are expecting you to pull when you move into that bracket, especially in the pug situation. So let's get into this, guys. Halls of Atonement, the opening pull. All right, so this opening pull, we're going to do 3 packs here, okay? So it's a group of 7. So straight out of the gate, we're going to do this pack, these 3 packs here. Now, nice little tip. If you tell everyone to stand still when you start the key, what's going to happen is these 2 here, they actually come running from up here down to this position when the key starts. If nobody moves, when the barrier drops and people move from the start of the key, when it goes to 0, they'll actually start running, meaning you as the tank can mount up and you can generally catch them on top of this pack. And it makes this a hell of a lot easier to group up. So just be aware of that nice little tip that you can do. So in this pack, you're going to have 2 Gargons, 1 Houndmaster, and 4 Darkblades. So just quickly to cover off these, the Darkblades, the biggest thing you need to know about this is their frontal cone deadly thrust. Now, it has no visual marking of where it's actually going to go. If you are pulling these as the tank and your DPS aren't paying attention to where your positioning is, or you are pointing them at your healers or DPS, they'll pretty much get one shot on a high enough key. And they go off deadly thrusts, go off quite often, and you've got 4 Darkblades in this pack to contend with. So tank positioning really important to make sure when you position them, they're not facing your group, otherwise people are going to die. The Vicious Gargons, they've got this jagged swipe, which is a stacking bleed on you, which you need to monitor around, 4 stacks is generally when I start, 3 to 4 stacks is generally when I sort of start to think about kiting. You get to the 5-6 range and your healer is spending a hell of a lot of mana on you to kind of, to make it so that you survive. The biggest thing that accompanies these Vicious Gargons is the Houndmaster though, and the Houndmaster's main thing is this Loyal Beast cast. So you can't interrupt it, but you can stun it to avoid it going off. If Loyal Beast gets off, it increases all the damage done by the Gargons within a 30-yard range, so basically the Gargons at whatever you're fighting at the time, by 125% for 20 seconds. You can soothe the Gargons if you've got druids or hunters in your group, but just be aware if that cast gets off and you've still got Gargons up, you need to kite as the tank. 100% start kiting. The Gargons are always sort of matched or paired around a Houndmaster in this as well, so you won't encounter Gargons without Houndmasters, so that's something you're always going to have to be thinking about. So yeah, coming out here, we're going to pull this as 1 pull. On Fortified, I'd say hero it, and you're going to melt that down. If you're not comfortable with that, you can do 2 and 3, and then you can just chain into this 2. You can do it based on however comfortable you are. And then we're going to go right here, okay? Now, if you've got a Venthyr in your group, we're going to save this Stoneborn here, okay? And next pull is going to be this Darkblade, so remember the frontal. And now we get a new mob, the Obliterator. The Obliterator does this wicked bolt. You just want to interrupt what you can. They'll also put a curse out that deals shadow damage to everyone within 8 yards. It's just shadow splash damage. You just need to be aware of that as well. We're going to pull these 2. We're going to pull this little padding trolling groundskeeper. When he comes up, he flies up and down. So if he's not there, just grab him when he comes back. And we're going to grab all these other groundskeepers here. This 1 groundskeeper here is not linked to this 3. So it's generally, if you can, pull this back one, which will chain the rest of them. If you tag these, he'll normally stand in the corner himself like a loser. They don't really do much to worry about at all. We're going to pull these, and then we're going to do this pack of 3 here. So again, Houndmaster watching the Loyal Beast cast, and the 2 Gargons watching our bleed stacks. Once we kill this, we're getting our 20% prideful. Then we're going to, if we've got a Venthia in the group, we're going to grab this Stoneborn and we're going to use it on the prideful. Main reason, prideful at the higher key levels you go, the harder prideful becomes, especially on a week like it is right now as I'm making this video. Grievous, high key Grievous pridefuls get really nasty. So anything you can do to get through those pridefuls as quick as possible is a bonus. So that's why we generally stave the Stoneborn for the prideful. If you don't want to do that, you can of course use it on the pack. However, that's what I like doing. Next up, we're going to move into this next pool here. So this one's got the Shard in it. Now the Shard has this Thrash, which is physical damage. It's an 8-second channel and it deals quite a bit of physical damage that goes out. There's also going to be these Sinquakes on the ground that you just need to make sure you're dodging. You've got a Collector in here, which is a new mob. They'll do collect sins. You want to make sure that you're interrupting this. It's shadow damage and it also summons adds to the party. He'll also have this Siphon Life as well. You just want to be kicking whatever you can when this goes off, but just watch the sins and you don't want to get too many adds out. You'll have an Obliterator or 2 Obliterators in here. So remember the Wicked Bolts and the Curse. And then we're going to grab these Groundskeepers up the back as well. And we're just going to pull this in and nut it. And we'll have Prideful. So you shouldn't have too many issues in getting through this. Then we're going to mount up. We're going to run all the way back down here. And next we're going to do this pack of 4 here. So you're going to get 1 Darkblade and 3 Obliterators in this one. So a few kicks going off with the Wicked Bolts and the Curses going out. You're going to have this Darkblade, so remember the Deadly Thrust and where you're facing it. And then you're just going to run over to this corner and you can taunt or just tag with whatever, the Groundskeepers. We do not want to pull these two. We just want to pull these into a nice little group, kill them watching our Deadly Thrust, getting our kicks. And then we're going to spawn our 40% Prideful here. And we're going to use our 40% Prideful once we've killed it to go into this Collector and this Shard here. Once these 2 are dead, we're going to jump down. There's these 2 guarding the fence exit here. We're going to grab the Darkblade and the Obliterator into this Houndmaster and double Gargan pack here. Now again, just watching the bleeds, watching the Loyal Beast cast, Darkblade with the frontal, Obliterator, just making sure we kick the bolts. There is this Stoneborn here. If you accidentally pull this Stoneborn, no worries, use it to merc down this quickly. Generally, what I like to do though is drop down. Remember, we've killed these 2 at the top of the stairs. You can drop down and fight them here. If this gets hairy, just run back up the hill. You've got all of this room up here to use for kiting if you need to. And you can also run back here and just jump down the ledge and go back down here. But I like to avoid pulling him. We're going to next pull this Trolling Groundskeeper and these ones over at the side with the Obliterator, with the 2 Obliterators here. So this pull here, once we've dealt with this one, is going to give us our 60% Prideful. Another Prideful, we're going to use the Stoneborn here. We're going to tag that, and we're going to use that to help us kill the Prideful. And then we're going into the Shard and the Collector here. So we're finishing up those. We've used this to help us kill Prideful. We then use the Prideful buff to merc through these really quickly. And then we're moving out into the Courtyard. Next Courtyard pull, you can split this up if you want. You can do this and then you can do this. I like to do it as one. So double Gargan Houndmaster again, and then an Obliterator and a Darkblade. So we're going to pull those. Then we are going to do the middle pack. Now you can do whatever you want here with Stoneborns. If you want to use this Stoneborn to help you murder this pack, go for it. No issues there whatsoever. The pack here goes up and down, obviously. When it's at its high point here, you can actually just run over, tag this Stoneborn and bring it over, and then you can use that Stoneborn into the boss. If you've got 2 Venthias into your group and you save these 2, you can actually pull them both over, and when when they're both in range, start mashing your MC buttons. There's a little grace period where you can actually get both of them, and you can take 2 Stoneborns onto the first boss here. So first boss, guys, the biggest thing with the first boss is the Crumbling Slams and the Heavy Debris. So the Crumbling Slam will always go on the tank and the Heavy Debris will go on your party members. As the tank, it's your job to try and manage fairly clean Crumbling Slam placements, and Heavy Debris is kind of on your group. You want to try and obviously watch his energy bar, because when he gets to 100 energy, he will do this refracted Sinlight where he will spin around in place. If you've got really shit puddles that people can't run in a clear line around him, you're going to cause issues for your group. The boss doesn't do really anything outside of that. It's just watching your puddle placement. As the tank, you can place your Crumbling Slams inside other Crumbling Slams as well. You can run in, get slammed and get out. Make sure no melee are standing on you. If a melee is standing on you when the Crumbling Slam goes off, they will die. So we've gone up to the first boss. We're gonna jump to the VOD now, guys, and we're gonna have a look at this. So this is a plus 16 from a couple of weeks ago, and it's just me and Chewy in this group. So this was a pug. So you can see here we didn't move. So this is what I was talking about at the start, right? We didn't move at the start. These two here, if you move when the key starts, when you put it in, they will be standing here. However, because we didn't move, you can see they're running in from the top here, which makes grouping this up much easier. And this is an inspiring week. So I think this was a week ago. Maybe, no, it was 2 weeks ago. All right, so we started this. So we're moving into this. Now, this is where it gets, as the tank, this is where it gets a little hard, because what you want to do is you want to try and get all these dark blades in sort of one position where you know where those deadly thrusts are going. Now you can see the dark blade deadly thrusts going off. You can also see there's no animation for where they're going. There's no visual frontal sort of cone about where they're going. So just doing your absolute best to make sure that you're trying to have them facing away as best as you can. You can see the Loyal Beast cast goes off there from the Houndmaster. So you can see the Houndmaster is just here. It's really hard to see under the overlay. See the Loyal Beast cast got 1.2 seconds to go off. It actually gets off. So the Gargon's in rage, 125% extra damage. So they're big now. And I've just ran away. Like, I'm out of there. You can see there I get swiped for 1 and it chunks about 35% of my HP off. So while they're in rage, just stay away from them. So we finished that pack up. We heroed it on that one for Fort. Now we're going to skip this Stoneborn here. We're going to grab the Dark Blade, the Obliterator, and we're going to grab these Groundskeepers. No, so someone's pulled it. So not what I wanted to do in this run at all. I think we must, you know, generally we save it for Prideful. Unfortunately, that's what's happened here. And in Pugs, sometimes it just doesn't work that way, you know, when you don't have voice and things like that. But as I said, not the end of the world, but I like to save it for Prideful. On a 16, you know, Prideful, probably not the biggest issue in the world, but as the keys get higher, you know, you generally want something to merc through your Pridefuls, as, you know, it gets pretty hard for your healer. So we're going to drop this group down. We shouldn't have too many issues with it whatsoever. So just, again, kiting away when you need to. The Groundskeepers don't really do much. They're nearly dead. And then we're going to go into this last pack here, which is going to give us our 20% Prideful. So they're in an awkward spot at the moment. So just going to wait for them to walk a little bit away, because we only want these 3 because we want to spawn our Prideful, and then we want to go into that big pack. So you can see the Huntsman will just do the shoot. The main thing with the Huntsman, as I said, is the Loyal Beast cast. You just need to watch out for that. And then just watching your bleeds. You can see here I'm at 3 stacks of the bleed, and it's doing a fair bit of chunky damage. So 4 stacks, I'm well and truly just kind of chilling out now. I'm just out and away. Remember what I said about Loyal Beast? It's not an interruptible cast. You have to stun it. So, you know, Asphyxiate, Storm Bolts, Shockwaves, Ring of Pieces, Blinding Lights, Hodges, whatever you've got, just make sure you try and stun that cast. It's really important that your group is covering that, not just you as the tank. Your whole group needs to be over that, because it will result in kiting and a much slower kill. Could also result in your tank ending up dead too if they're not paying attention. So we're just finishing up these last 2, and we're going to cop our first 20% Prideful here, and then we're going to go into the big pool. So Prideful coming up here. You guys know what Prideful looks like, so we're just going to skip through Prideful now. Pew, 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 pew. And then we're going to go into this big pool here. So we've got the 2 Obliterators, the Collector, the Shade, and I'm going to grab in these Groundskeepers here as well. Collect Sins there, so you just want to make sure that you try and interrupt those when you can. You can see the curse that goes out. So remember, that's 8-yard splash for 6 seconds, I think it is. So bit of damage goes out from that one. You can see the Thrash going off from the Shade as well. There's quite a bit of damage that comes out from that, and these Sin Quakes that come out. You just don't want to stand in the bad stuff, kind of the common rules of, you know, the World of Warcraft. So we are going to finish up them with the Shade as well, with the Thrash, guys. If your healer's ever having issues with that with range, you can actually 40-yard outrange that Thrash. So it's physical damage, but just know that you can outrange it if you need to. So you can have your range stay well back, and then your healer doesn't have to have issues with them. So that's down. Now we're moving all the way over to the other side here, and we're going to grab those 4 mobs, the 2 in front, the 2 to the right, and then we're going to grab the other Groundskeepers as well. So 1 Darkblade, 3 Obliterators here. So again, just watching that frontal from the Darkblade, trying to get an interrupt or something on the Obliterators really quick. You can see when you actually pull that Obliterator off to the right, he jacks up in the air. Don't know why. He just goes full exorcism and gets airborne sort of thing. So with storming here, I'm just waiting for this to be sort of under control, so to speak, before I turn around and grab the groundskeepers. And now I'm going to grab these groundskeepers. So you can see you don't have to go sort of too far. You can just hit that corner, pull the groundskeepers, and then they come all in. I hate storming, man. I hate storming. I hate whoever thought of storming. I don't. You're probably a nice person, but I do not rate it. It's such a horrible fix. You can see here, this pool can get a little bit hairy too, especially with storming when things are so spread out, people are getting knocked around. It's really hard to keep things clumped up and sort of get it all down nice and easy in terms of damage. You can see a lot of wicked bolts are going off. So you really want to have stun locks and kicks going off on those wicked bolts to make sure that they're not, you know, just sitting there and just chain casting basically. Same with the curse going off as well. So we finally managed to kind of get this under control and finish it up. Then we're going to get our 40% prideful, and we're going to take that into the next shade and the collector that is up here. So again, just going to skip through this prideful, trying to get through halls as quick as I kind of can. I'm conscious about how long these are going for. So drop an AMZ, always great on prideful, especially when the stacks start getting high, to try and make your healer's life as easy as possible, especially if you don't have AMZ or something like that lined up for it after. So then we're going to do this shard and the collector. So again, with the collector, just trying to interrupt the sin when we can. With the shard, watching out for the thrash and the quakes. Remember, with the thrash, if there's too much damage, you can 40 yard outrange it if you're a ranged or the healer. You can see Chewy here is taking no damage at all, same as the priest, because they're at max range and they're not getting hit by that thrash, so it's not even a worry for him to have to worry about healing. Siphon life coming out, so you just need to watch for that. You can stun that, you can't kick it. We're going to get these down, and then we're going to drop down into this next pool. Now, like I said here, I just want to point this out really quick, okay? When you drop down to this pool, this Obliterator, Darkblade, and the Houndmaster Double Gargan, if you're fighting it here and you're getting your ass kicked, you killed these two at the top of the stairs, you can run all the way back up to this platform here, and then if it gets too much, you can drop down this platform and run all the way up here. Just watch out for this Stoneborn, because we don't want to pull him. If you do, it's not the end of the world, but just know that you have quite a bit of room here. Gonna grab this padding groundskeeper here as well. If he's not there, you just grab him in the next pool. So again, watching out for the frontals here on the Darkblade, just because I don't want to point them at anyone and get my team killed. And just watching that pack behind us too. So you just need to be paying attention to where that is, because that's not what we want at the moment at all. So I got 2 stacks of the bite here, and I am just going to start moving up here. Okay, so you can see here Loyal Beast has gone off, so I don't want to go anywhere near that, but I've got all this room up the top. I know we must have got a stun on Loyal Beast because the Gargans aren't big. So I've got all this room up the top. Okay, so you know, kiting's much better. I know that lots of people don't like to kite because, you know, I'm a tank, I can stand there and I can take it, but kiting and surviving is much better than standing there and dying like a Muppet head. So just make sure you've got all of this room to use. Make the most of it. You know, watch your bleeds as the tank. Watch out. You can see, I think the mage might have copped a deadly thrust there. That frontal is absolutely lethal, and if you run in front of it, you just have no idea where it's going sometimes, especially if you're a DPS and you haven't been paying attention to it. So we're going to lead these back down here, and then we're going to grab, we're not going to get that Stoneborn to the right, remember. We're going to get these Groundskeepers, and we're going to grab the 2 in front, these 2 Obliterators. Sometimes you'll need a double, like 2 kicks here, so Chewy got that range one. We ended up getting the Stoneborn here as well. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure who pulled the Stoneborn there. I prefer to play the Stoneborns on Prideful. I just think it makes Prideful a lot easier. Sometimes it saves people having to rotate their cooldowns on Prideful, which means that then they can then save it to burst over the shards, which take a bit of time usually. But yeah, you know, whatever happens, you just roll with it. So we've got Prideful now, and we don't have the Stoneborn. In ideal circumstances, in a key that was, you know, all of our group, so to speak, we'd be grabbing the Stoneborn now, and we'd be using it on the Prideful to kill. So we're killing this Prideful, and then we're going to use our Prideful buff to go into this Shard and this Collector. Kicking the Collector here, decking the Shard, just same as Norwell. So we have, you know, we've already seen 2 of these, so you know how that works. So we're just going to skip through here. So that's dead, and then we're going to go out here, and we're going to grab this Houndmaster, Double Gargan, and we're going to grab the 2 at the bottom of the stairs here. So this is a fairly big pull, so you just need to watch out, you know, in regards to the Darkblade's frontal and also the Loyal Beast cast and your stacks of bleeds. So just be aware of that. However, if you can pull this, it's just a nice way to clean this up really quickly. you're going to have to pull the 2 at the stairs eventually anyway. If you want to split this up and just pull the 3, you can absolutely do that and then pull like the 2 after the boss or beforehand, but you're going to have to do them anyway. So if you can pull them in like this, you've got all this room to kite, you may as well, sort of thing. So the beasts, loyal beasts got off, so they're massive, 125% extra damage. So I'm just kiting away there, kicking what I can, just staying on the outside and not worrying about it. So they're getting decked, so we're just going to skip through them. Rock boys up and taking all the threat, so they're dead. Then we're going to move into this middle pack here. Now again, I'd be saving that Stoneborn for the boss. I'm not too sure if someone pulls it in here or what happens. Just getting a kick on that outside right obliterator so you can stack these in. Just remember that when you pull this, there is the obliterator on the outside, and that one will cast until you kick or grip it in or ring a piece it in or whatever you've got going on for you. So just be aware of that. So we're going to kill these. I'm on, again, just monitoring your stacks here. You don't want to go too high. There's no need to go too high. Making sure people are watching the frontal. Loyal beast going off. If it goes off, you can see it does go off because I'm well out in Narnia. The Gargans are massive. I'm not going back in there. I'm not touching them. They're slowed. You just stay away from them. Pew, 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 pew. And then we're just going to get through these. Takes a little bit of time. It takes a little bit of time. All right, now we're on to the boss. So now we're going to grab this Stoneborn here. We could have gone and got the other one, but we haven't. So we're just going to go straight into the boss here. Now, as the tank, I generally think it's easier to just stay in this first area here and dump all your crumbling and heavy debris around this area first, and then move out for the first refracted light or sin light when he's at 100% energy and you know he's going to spin. Sometimes he'll get to 100% energy and he'll debate you and do another slam as well, so just be aware of that. But it generally helps to stay in this area rather than moving out into the middle, and then sort of the longer the fight goes on, the harder it is to position the slams and things like that. So first one coming up, I want to make sure there's no melee on me. Slam, moving out of it. So I'm going to keep him around this area. Heavy debris coming out now, so this is going to go on one of the party members, so you can see it's gone out here. Again, we're just sticking in here. I'm going to run my next crumbling into my first crumbling here, and then I'm just going to move out. So it's a nice way, if the key is not sort of too high enough and you can survive it, that you can kind of get away with that. So heavy debris, I'm just going to move this in here because we've got a sin light coming up. So sin light's up. There's more than enough room to run around this boss here. It's toxic tornado. Storming on this boss and the last boss in here is actually so toxic. It is so toxic. Gonna get a crumbling as soon as we come out of this, so that's on me, and then I'm just gonna move out towards the stand now. So we're gonna get another heavy debris. Watching your timers on this fight as the tank is really, really important. Same as the DPS, they need to know where they're positioning it. But as the tank especially, just, you know, watching when it's going to be a crumbling slam, watching his energy. You can see he's at 100 here. So that's when he usually does sin light. He's done another heavy debris, and then he'll be going into a sin light. So you just no, he did another slam. So you can get a little bit debated on that. So you just need to watch for it. So that's dead. Then what we're going to do is run up here. If we had a shroud, we'll be shrouding all the way to the top. We don't have a shroud, we're going to invis pot. So before we cover that off, let's go back to MDT here. So we've just finished the first boss and we've moved down to here. So we are going to, as I said, shroud, invis pot, death skip, whatever you're doing. We're going to invis pot from here all the way up to here. These change which is active. Sometimes 2 are active at the same time. If you wait a second, one will turn to stone and the other one will activate. We only need one of these. Doesn't matter which one, just pull only one of them. If one of them's active, pull that one. These Stoneborn slashes will have this powerful swipe. Now what you can do is when powerful swipe goes off, you can just strafe sort of away from it, basically. So you kind of have your position where you're not on a side to him where it can hit you back, but you're able to just strafe off to the side or strafe backwards is what I'm trying to say, without backpedaling, so you don't get hit by the swipe. And I'll show you on the video. So that's just the easiest way to manage them. They don't do anything outside of that. If you're standing there getting hit by the swipes, they do a fair bit of damage. Once we kill this, we're going to get our 80% prideful. 80% prideful straight into the second boss echelon here. Now, the big thing with old mate here is the ads. When the ads spawn on each side of the room, until they're in combat, they don't actually start casting. So even though we're all in combat with the boss fight, when they spawn in here, if you don't hit them, if there's no AoE going out onto them, they will run all the way into the boss, meaning that you don't have to worry about if you don't have things like Gore Fiends or Vortex and Typhoon and Ring of Peace to knock them in. You can just chill, they'll run in, and then you can clap them all in one little tight pile, which is absolutely ideal. So that's the best tip that I can give you on this guy, because this is such a short little route. I'm actually going to run through to the next boss and then we'll cover that off on the VOD. So once he's dead, you shouldn't have too many problems with the Shattering Leap as well. So you'll get the Curse of Stone on you, which will turn the player to stone, and then he'll leap onto them. You can Icebound Fortitude out of that, and I think you can Shapeshift out of it as a druid as well. So just know that to avoid some damage if you need to. So then we're going to move in to the Nave here. Now, this pool here is pretty spicy because you've got double Houndmaster and 3 Gargans. So remember, that's 2 Loyal Beast casts to keep manage of and 3 Gargans that can get empowered and own you, plus bleeds going on. Plus, if the Loyal Beast cast gets off, they will shred you really quickly. So get in here, establish aggro, and then kite. You've got, again, all of this room, and you've got all of this area out here to kite as well. Make the most of it, use it. Next, we're going to move into this room. Now, what you can do if you've got Super Strain on is you can run around to this bit here, and you can throw a Death's Caress on this Depraved Darkblade here. So you've got, what have you got? 2 Darkblades, an Obliterator, and a Collector here. If you Death's Caress this Darkblade here, your Virulent Plague, because of the way Super Strain functions, will actually hit this Stoneborn over here, and you'll pull them out. Now, I Death's Caress this one. I line of sight in this room. The Gargan comes out. I then, the Stoneborn, sorry, comes out. I then MC that, and I use that to blow up these. I then take this last Stoneborn onto the boss. You've got 2 Venthirs, and you want to save that. You can just come here, taunt this, line of sight, pew pew, and then you can take 2 of these onto the boss. Now, Elise really does not do much at all. Kicks are the biggest thing. Have a kick for Bolt of Power, have a kick for Volley of Power, dodge the anima bad stuff on the ground. If you get a ghost targeted on you, run and take it to one of the little 4 pillars that'll be around the room. Stand behind it, it'll run into it. That's pretty much it. So, VOD time. So, we're going to move up here. We are going to Invisibility Pot from around here, and we're just going to run all the way through the middle here and up the top. So, no issues whatsoever, nice and easy. You make it without any issues whatsoever, and I'm the slowest class in the world as a DK, and I make it with absolutely no issues. So you just want to get up the top here with everybody. Now, Chewy did a whoopsie-daisy because Chewy's new to Shaman and had no idea if when you Ghost Wolf when you are actually invisible, that it will break you out of invisibility rather than Ghost Wolfing first and then using invisibility. So that's a bit of a whoopsie. So then Chewy tries to get back to where we are so we can mass res, and then he gets decked like there. So that's really awkward. So then the priest has to kind of run down and then like Mind Soothe and then try and get a res off the 3rd time Chewy runs back, maybe the 2nd time. It's okay though, you know, it's all for the boys. It's all good. So Chewy gets back a bit further here, a little bit further. You can see how quick you get decked. Priest gets down here. This is an option that you can do if you fuck things up, guys. Don't think it's the end of the world. Get down here, get a res off on Chewy. Once the res goes off and he is up, I'm going to pull this slasher here because this one's turned to stone. Remember how I said they bounce back and forward? And I'm going to pull this slasher all the way up to the top. Now, remember that slash that I was talking about? Can't remember what it's called. You're about to see it. Powerful swipe. I'm just going to strafe off to the, you know, like I've kind of got myself, I'm facing him. I'm not taking any shots in the back. I'm parrying, I'm dodging. And then I'm just kind of sideways. And when powerful swipe goes off, I'm just going to hit my strafe key and I'm going to just lazily left away from him. Okay, powerful swipe. I'm out, not getting hit, not taking any extra damage. Nice and easy, makes it cruisy. Once you drop old mate here, Slashy McSlash, you're going to get your 80% prideful. We're going to do our prideful, pew, 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 and then we're going to run straight over to the door. Just be aware, guys, if you're a DK, don't Death's Advance over to the door. You won't get knocked back. You'll miss the boss taunt, and someone will probably get one shot. So just be really aware of that. So pick up the boss as soon as he bursts out of the door, and then we're just going to pew him down. Now, remember what I was saying about the ads. Dodge the blood torrent, so that's bad stuff on the ground. It's pretty stock standard not to stand in the bad stuff. Here comes the Stone Call now, so you get these ads coming out. As a DK, it's really not a problem on the first one because you can just Gore Fiend's Grasp, but you can see all of them came in, so I didn't even need to use Gore Fiend. Gore Fiends, Shattering Leap coming out. So this is on me. So I'm positioning it on the ads, because what you need to do with this, guys, is when you get the leap, you need to ensure that you position it on the ads. So when the boss leaps, he destroys the ads. If you don't do this, the ads will repop on the next call and you will get overrun with ads on the next stone call. Okay, so if you get the circle and you've killed ads, run your circle over ads. Now, what I could have done here if I was concerned about living or dying or the damage is when I get frozen in place by the stone shattering, I can icebound out and move out. Once that's done, the boss will still jump to this area. I just won't be in his area of effect for the jump if you wanted to commit icebound fortitude through that stun, which I just didn't care about. So that's always an option for you as well if you're on the DK. So again, we're going to get another stone call shortly. I mean, this is fortified in a 16, so this boss is kind of melting fairly quickly. But I'm hoping that no one attacks the ads on this next one. I do have Gore Fiends regardless anyway. But I just want to show you what happens with the ads. So here is oh no, we don't have anything. We get another ad stomp, but all the ads are dead. We destroyed them all, so we don't even have to worry about that. Here comes Stone Call. So here's the ads. So again, if nobody AoEs them, they will just run all the way in. I used mass grip on that one, but they will run all the way in. They'll make your life super easy and you won't have any problems. So just getting through him, because we're not going to have any problems with him. So he's dead, and then we're running into this next pack. Now remember, double Houndmaster, 3 Gargan here. Okay, so I'm going to get in, and I'm going to get as much aggro as I can possibly establish on these. You got 3 Gargans, so you're taking quite a bit of bleed damage fairly quickly. You just need to watch out for. But I'm just going to get sort of as much threat as I can establish there, and then I'm just going to start running out. Now, Inspiring made this a little bit hard as well. Just going to try and split them up. Again, you've got all this room out here where we just did the other boss, okay? So don't, again, never feel like the way is to just stand there and face tank it. That doesn't make you, you know, it doesn't make you this ultimate tank if you can just stand there and face tank it all. The ultimate tank is, you know, the one that's, you know, alive at the end of the pull kind of thing and has got your group through it, versus the sock puppet that stood there and died. Loyal Beast got off there as well. So just staying away from the Gargans, getting these down. And yeah, you shouldn't have too many issues. You should be okay with that. But double Houndmaster can make a little bit tricky. Again, just don't stand in there and fight it. You know, kite them away, get your group to kill them, slow them, pew pew, control the Loyal Beast, soothe if they get off, and you shouldn't have too many problems. So then we are moving into this next room. Now I'll show you the super strain thing here as well. So moving up into this next bit, I'm going to see this left Darkblade here. Death's Caress there. From that range, that far away, the Virulent Plague coating on super strain actually hit that Gargan, and that's why we get it in the room here. So I'm going to control this dude, or someone else controlled it before me, sorry. And I'm just going to use it to try and burst down this pack here. Now again, Wicked Bolts are going off because there's an Inspiring mob in here, so we can't do much about that. Collect Sin, we want to make sure we're interrupting. Watching the frontals from the Darkblade with the Deadly Thrust. Really, really shitty camera view and spot to be in here. Storming making it even fucking worse, because I'm like, I don't know, like a Commodore 64 ping pong game. But again, not going to have too many issues getting through that pack, especially with the Stoneborn. Then we're going to take the last Stoneborn on the right, and we're going to yoink that into this boss here. Now remember, with this boss, not a hell of a lot going on. We want interrupt on the bolt, and we want to interrupt on the volley, and then we just don't want to stand in the bad stuff. You can see these 4 canisters around the room. If you get fixated by a ghost, just run and stand behind it. It'll walk into one of these and it'll get trapped. So Bolt of Power is one kick, the Volley of Power is your other kick, and then the Anima Fountain is just the thing that you don't want to stand in. That's pretty much it. Like, this boss is not very, you know, is not much. Now, as the tank, you can get fixated by these, right? So you can see this blue line going to me, and this is what I was talking about, these little canister thingies over here. I'm just going to move and stand behind one here. It's going to get sucked into it. It makes this canister kind of disappear. But that's okay. That's not a problem. Anima Fountain here, just moving out of this. Yeah, making sure I don't stand in the bad swells on the ground, interrupting bolts of power and things like that when we can. If one's going to go on you and there's no kick for it, feel free to AMS or whatever you're going to do there. I got a Parishioner behind me, so again, I got a blue line on me. Just going to dodge this Storming. I'm going to take it over again, one of these little canisters. It's going to walk into it. It was really unusual how many times I think I got targeted as the tank here. I got targeted quite a bit. But yeah, you're not going to have any problems on this, guys. So pew 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 pew. And then we're going into, oh, this last bit took a while. And then we're going into the last room. So back to MDT. pretty simple from here. We've just killed this boss. We're moving into the sanctuary here. Once you start this, the boss is going to activate. He is going to run down. Now, the big thing on the boss is that you want to interrupt the wicked bolts, because if he just stands there free casting, that's not very good. If you've got the DPS on lower keys, and I mean you've got DPS, you can absolutely run old mate here around the corner, like all the way over here, and you can just burn him and not worry. If you don't have the DPS, you will need to kill all of these little ads. Now, these ads, when they die, will drop crap on the floor. It doesn't say it in the spell thing, but they will drop shit on the floor, so you don't stand in that stuff. The big thing with Inquisitor, though, he will have this... what is it? It's Dark Communion. So his Dark Communion, he'll siphon life from all the ads, meaning if you've just been focusing him in here and you've left all the ads up, he'll basically just heal to full, and it's a waste. So murder all of these ads as quick as you can. Then murder him. You will then get your 100% prideful, which you will fight, and you will go on to the last boss. Lord Chamberlain, the biggest thing with him is managing the Ritual of Woes. He will do this telekinesis toss where he will pick up a statue. The way the face on the statue is facing is the line that statue is going to travel in. So if you're unsure about where they ever go, look for the way that the statue is facing, look for the line it's creating. That's where the statue's going. The ritual, there will be beams that come out of the statues. You as a DK can actually double soak 2 of them if you stand in his hitbox in between sort of 2 beams. You can use AMS to negate a lot of that damage. You can use AMZ to help your entire group out. He'll have a frontal that you don't want to stand in, which... trying to think what that's actually called. Stigma of Pride is the dot that he puts on, so damage increased by 30% for each tick, and it's shadow damage. So I know he does that one. I can't remember what the frontal is. Oh, it's Unleash Suffering. So he'll do this frontal. Just don't stand in the frontal. That's pretty much it. He's not sort of too complex. So back to the VOD. Let's finish this last section up here. So we're jumping through the mirror here, and we're just going to start murdering all these souls, okay? So again, as I said, 16 fort, we wouldn't have the damage to just butcher through him here. You know, I imagine you eventually will, you know, at this kind of level, maybe if you wanted to commit CDs to it and things like that. But otherwise, just kill these ads. It's like, you know, a Boomy Starfall Dream and things like that. But otherwise, yeah, just interrupt whatever you can. Kill the souls. Don't stand in the bad stuff. You can see these red patches that get left on the floor and things like that. Don't stand in them. Try and get all the aggro as the tank. On Necrotic Week, this can be really awkward. That's that communion I was talking about where he just heals up. So you can see there's 0 point in focusing him because he will just heal up to full from these ads. You really just need to get these souls and envy ads down ASAP. I think they turn into envy once he does the communion thing, and that's when they drop the pools on the floor. So just, yeah, don't stand in the pools. Kill them. Interrupt the boss. Pretty much it. It gets really ugly on explosive, and it gets really ugly on necrotic as well, because those little things apply necrotic. So we're going to kill old mate here, and when old mate's dead, I like to drag him all the way up to the end here. So prideful's right here for the boss. So he's going to spawn our 100% prideful. We're going to fight our 100% prideful near the boss door here to go out. We're going to kill the prideful, and then we're going on to the last boss with our prideful buff and our heroism up. So Chamberlain, you can see these are the statues that he will toss around, and you need to watch which way they're facing. So this one here, it's facing like its face is going this way. That's which way it's going. This one here, its face is going this way. If he picks it up, it's going across there. So you just need to watch where the faces are to know which way the statue is going. There's the Stigma of Pride. So that's the 30% extra damage. Here is the Unleash Suffering, the big frontal cone. You can see it's marked with a red kind of indication area. You don't want to be getting hit by that. Telekinetic Toss is where Onslaught, sorry, is where he'll bring 4 pillars into him. When this happens, just find the gap once all 4 are in. So move out, then you can just stand in the gap where the 4 are, and then they will burst back from him. So when that finishes, they burst back. Now you've got these lines that will connect that you need to soak for Ritual of Woe. So AMZ's down. I am standing in the boss's hitbox here, and I've got 2 beams on me. You do need to, that's a real pain in the ass though, with storming going on, because everyone has to keep moving out or getting knocked out of their beam from storming. Makes it really toxic on this. So you get another telekinetic onslaught where he brings the 4 into him, and then he'll push the 4 out at the end. So, and then we get another Ritual of Woe. So this one here, you could use, you know, as I said, spirit links, AMZs, barriers, AMS, you know, whatever you've got to try and make this as easy as possible. You just want to make sure that you're soaking the beams. Don't let the beams go through to the boss. It's kind of like I can't remember the boss in Temple of Seth now. It was such a pain in my ass, and now I can't remember, but it's like that. Galvazat, you just need to make sure that you soak the beams. Erupting Torrent here is a big bad red circle that you don't want to stand in that I didn't mention. When that goes off, get out. And that's it. So that's it, guys. So that was Halls of Atonement. If you got any questions, hit me up in the comments below. Otherwise, like, comment, subscribe. Come find me on the Twitch. Come join the Discord. This MDT route is in the description as well, or in the pinned comment below if you would like it. But yeah, thanks very much for taking the time to watch the video, guys. Like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you all next time. See you, fam.